Is there a way to become Superman, Jesus, Krishna, Hercules, Odysseus, Perseus, etc.? Where did they get their power from? Is it possible for us to become like them? Let us explain the most important form of energy that human beings depend upon. We know that all human beings depend on food for survival. However, what really happens to that food after we have eaten? The food we take in goes through many transformations, refinements, and subtle changes. Unquestionably, every type of food eventually transforms into sexual hydrogen, or simply put, into sexual energy. This sexual energy from semen retention is then converted into other forms of energy that govern the functioning of the human body. While modern science tells us that food breaks down into vitamins, minerals, fats, carbohydrates, etc., Einstein showed us that matter can be transformed into energy and vice versa. Thus, it is not surprising that food is converted into sexual energy, which is subsequently transformed into other energies. Consider how a puddle of water on the road evaporates under the heat of the sun, becoming clouds and eventually manifesting as energy in the form of lightning and thunder, another transformation of energy. In much the same way, the ens seminis, the entity of the semen, the sacred sperm, undergoes transformation. What is the importance of this sperm, sometimes referred to as ens seminis, and does this process also apply to women? We use the word sperm in a general sense to denote the sexual energy inherent in all human beings. Today, many regard semen as merely a substance excreted by our sexual endocrine glands. However, semen is sacred because it contains our true identity. It is the seed from which we are born and through which we grow. Medieval alchemists saw in the sperm a kind of vitriol representing the inner essence of the earth. By rectifying it, one could find the occult stone, that is, the famed philosopher's stone. There are indeed formulas to transform the sperm we accumulate on semen retention into energy, formulas that rely on our ability to transmute sexual libido into energy. If, by preserving the ens seminis, we can give life to a child, and if with the ens seminis we can reproduce the species or fill the world with millions of beings, then it is certainly true that by preserving and practicing semen retention and transmutation, we can give life to ourselves and become an authentic Superman or Superwoman in the fullest sense of the word. Let us explain this from a strictly scientific point of view. When the sacred sperm is not ejaculated, it becomes what is called a node. These nodes are energy, transcendent electricity. With the aid of specific mantras, this sexual energy rises through ultra-sensible channels in the spinal column, reaching the brain. There, it develops and diffuses throughout the cerebral mass, opening up latent power in the psyche and making the brain dynamic. It is necessary to seminate the brain because, as is well known, only about 3% of the average human brain is active while the rest lies dormant. Imagine what could be achieved if we could awaken the entire brain, if we could regenerate it, put all its parts into full activity, and transform our world into a marvelous place. To do this, we must regenerate and seminate our brain. We must cerebrate the semen and disseminate its energy throughout our neural system. That is the key. Great musicians of the past, Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin, Liszt, were people whose brains were highly seminated. They unlocked extraordinary capacities by using a larger percentage of their brain areas. Even Einstein supposedly used only 10% of his brain. Yet today, the human brain has degenerated so much that we scarcely notice it. Why has this degeneration occurred? Simply because, for many centuries, we have been extracting the vital energy contained in our semen, not solely for reproduction, but for pleasure. This extraction, performed in acts of lust and indulgence, has led to the undernourishment of our brain's potential, leaving many areas inactive. Is it possible to reverse this process? Yes, it is. Regeneration of the brain is possible, but it requires transmuting the entity of the semen, turning it into energy. Extraordinary psychosomatic changes occur when the sacred sperm is transformed into energy. We understand well how the hormonal vessels in our gonads work, how hormones travel from one vessel to another along the spermatic cords. eventually reaching the prostate. The prostate, a precious organ, is where the greatest transformations of the semen occur, leading to the creation of hormones that ultimately enter the bloodstream. Sexual hormones work wonders once in the blood, stimulating various endocrine glands, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal, thymus, etc., to produce even more hormones, thereby enriching the bloodstream and causing ailments and illnesses to disappear. But what does this have to do with aging? Isn't growing old a natural process? Growing old, we are told, is a matter of time. Yet time is but an illusion of the mind. The harsh truth is that our cells become damaged, deteriorate, and are replaced by new cells. Thus, aging is really a matter of cellular degeneration rather than an inevitable passage of time. Ordinary men, by eliminating zoosperms from their very sperm sacs in order to satisfy brutal impulses, cause their brains to degenerate due to a lack of sexual hormones, and consequently lose much of their capacity for action. Beyond the sexual forces at work, consider the phenomenon of mitosis in the fetus, the process by which cells split to form human and animal tissues. The presence of creative energy causes a cell to split into 2, then 4, then 8, and so on. This is how tissues, organs, and entire bodies are formed in the maternal womb. Similarly, the active sexual hormones in the blood, charged with electricity and magnetism, induce mitosis in the adult organism, leading to the formation of new cells and tissues. A young man, producing large amounts of sexual hormones and numerous zoosperms, channels these energies to renew the brain. No wonder young people possess a revolutionary way of thinking and remain open to new ideas. Conversely, old men who have wasted their sacred sperm produce very few new cells and often eliminate the little that remains, leading to degenerated prostates and diminished vitality. So, can we reverse or slow down the aging process? Absolutely. You will be surprised to learn that conserving one's sexual energy and transforming it was the norm among several powerful civilizations. This practice helped people in ancient times live for hundreds of years with remarkably healthy bodies. How did they do it? I will now explain a singular and very special craft that medieval alchemists taught their disciples. This artful device was also imparted by scientists such as Brown Sequard in the United States, Dr. Crum Heller, a colonial physician in our glorious Mexican army, and even by Carl Jung. It is also a part of the teachings of the Asiatic schools of Eastern Tantrism. Dr. Crum Heller used to present this formula in Latin. In synthesis, this craft is defined as the lingam-yoni connection without ever spilling the ens semenes. Here, lingam refers to the male sexual organ, the Greek phallus, and yoni refers to the female sexual organ. Is it really that simple? The Oneida Society in the United States experimented with this formula. About 25 couples were instructed to copulate over a period of time without ejaculating the semen. Clinical studies conducted afterward revealed complete semination of the brain, an increase in hormone levels in the blood, overall improvement of the organism, enhanced sexual power, and the disappearance of many diseases and conditions. But why does this energy from semen retention wield such power over our lives? The sexual force is what brought us into existence. We exist because we had a father and a mother. Fundamentally, the root of life lies in the copulation between a man and a woman. If this sexual force could create life, then it is the only force with the authority to radically transform us. Although there are many ideologies and beliefs in the world, the only force that truly has the power to transform us is the force that created us. Learning to manage this wonderful energy of sex means becoming the master of creation. I can tell you with absolute certainty that if a man were to abide by this simple formula, he would, in the long run, transform himself into a Superman. This is exactly what was accomplished by figures such as Her Mistress Magisters, Quetzalcoatl, Buddha, Krishna, and even Jeshua ben Pandira, none other than the great Khabib Jesus. Now, what are the additional advantages of using sexual energy in this manner? The problem arises when one resorts to artificial or unnatural means to control or stop the flow of sexual energy. In today's world, beset by crises and population explosions, there exist three absurd and unnatural systems for controlling fertilization: physical, chemical, and biological methods. These include devices like spirals, condoms, membranes, vasectomy operations, and contraceptive pills. Such procedures often cause irreparable organic damage, radically relax human ethics, and lead to degeneration. In fact, many contraceptives used by women, especially the contraceptive pill, can cause cancer, while other biological and chemical agents destroy the lysosomes of spermatozoa and ova, giving rise to sick babies, lunatics, paralytics, deaf individuals, mutes, blind people, and idiots. The best contraceptive system is, in effect, to never reach the natural spasm, that is, the orgasm, of organic physiology. During metaphysical or chemical copulation, any ripe spermatozoon can escape and cause fertilization. There is no need for thousands of spermatozoa to achieve one instance of fertilization. This is the only natural and healthy system to address the serious problem of demographic expansion. Throughout history, attempts have been made to conserve energy by abstaining from sex altogether. But does that really help? If the sperm is not used for reproduction or transmutation, then through mere abstinence, through forced celibacy, that sperm will involute or degenerate. In women, the sexual secretions also involute. This involution produces malignant vibrations, known in esotericism as poisonous-scarian vibrations, which are already tainted by evil. In the long run, anyone who practices such abstinence subjects their biology, physiology, and psyche to horrific catastrophes. In such individuals, the abominable Kunda buffer organ, Satan's tail, is activated, directing the creative force downward and internally generating a kind of satanic appendage. Thus, misfortune is always the result of such absurd abstinence. Why then did the practice of abstinence begin if it is so dangerous? Many sincere yet mistaken ascetics do not understand that to rise, one must first descend. Numerous ascetics live in hellish worlds, renouncing sex without first manufacturing their solar bodies. These solar bodies are divine vessels that enable conscious exploration in the higher dimensions of nature, and they can only be manufactured in the ninth sphere by practicing sahaja maituna, the sexual techniques described. A person who masters this art achieves a second birth, the very birth that Jesus spoke of to Nicodemus. The first birth comes from the womb. For the second birth, one must return to the womb and be born anew. However, for this second birth, sexual energy must be transformed into something superior, the energy of the spirit through love. Sex must be renounced only after achieving the second birth, not before. Now, for the benefit of single people, how should one transform their sexual energies? An exercise can be practiced by both single individuals and married couples. Sit down comfortably, either in the traditional Eastern manner, cross-legged, or in a Western-style armchair. Relax your body as naturally as a child does. Inhale deeply and slowly, imagining that the creative energy rises through your spermatic channels up to the brain. Mentally recite the mantra, hum, as you inhale, and then exhale shortly and quickly while continuing the mantra. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. While doing so, silently vocalize the sacred syllable hum. If desired, you may also articulate the syllable saw aloud during the exhalation. As you meditate, envision the creative energy in action, rising rhythmically to the brain through the vocalization of the mantra Hamsa. Be sure to synchronize your inhalations and exhalations in perfect concentration, harmony, and rhythm, since Hamsa is the third logos. How can you tell that you are using this technique correctly? With continued practice, there comes a moment when the entire energy within you flows inward and upward. The creative energy, so organized in a centripetal fashion, becomes an extraordinary instrument of essence, a means to awaken your consciousness. I am teaching you genuine white tantrism, the practice used by the tantric schools in the Himalayas and Hindustan, through which one can achieve ecstasy or samadhi, or whatever you wish to call it. As your consciousness gradually awakens and you progress toward deep meditation or samadhi, you will discover greater peace and happiness. Thus, the creative energy, when combined with meditation, serves to awaken the consciousness. Hamsa is in fact the key. In ancient Hindu culture, you may have noticed that the goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, is often depicted riding a hamsa. This hamsa, the vehicle of the goddess of knowledge, is nothing other than the mantra Hamsa. We must transmutate sperm into energy in order to awaken the sacred fire, or kundalini, and cause it to climb along the spinal column to the brain. Only then can we develop all of our faculties and powers. The salvation of man lies exclusively in the spinal cord and in harnessing sexual energy. Any other approach is a lamentable waste of time. The path to becoming a superman lies in understanding and directing the incredible energy within us, our creative energy. This energy we accumulate on semen retention, derived from the proper use of sexual vitality, has the potential to strengthen the body, sharpen the mind, and awaken higher levels of awareness. It's not about suppressing or avoiding this energy, but learning how to guide it with intention and purpose. Throughout history, figures like Jesus, Krishna, and Hercules have shown us the profound power that comes from mastering this energy. By preserving and refining it, they achieved extraordinary physical and spiritual feats. This same energy is available to you as you prolong your practice of semen retention. Through disciplined practices like meditation, mantra work, and focus, you can harness its benefits to improve your health, sharpen your mental capacity, and elevate your spiritual understanding. In a world where this vital force is often wasted, you have the choice to wisely. Start today by taking steps to honor this sacred energy within you. With consistent effort and focus, you can achieve remarkable results and live this life of purpose and vitality you were meant for. This isn't about quick fixes or surface-level gains. It's about building strength, clarity, and purpose over time.